13th, 2023, the Freedom Theater, a theater that has been a cultural center and has been using cultural resistance to fight for the Palestinian justice through the performing arts in the Jenin refugee camp in occupied Palestine, was attacked by the Israeli army, and the theater has been destroyed. Not only that, but they have forcefully detained Ahmed Tobasi, the artistic director, and Mustafa Shida, the producer of the theater. As a performing artist myself, as someone who has been working in theaters or have performed at theaters and venues before, this brings me such shock and anger that I have never quite experienced before. To witness a cultural center, a place where people gather to be encouraged, to connect, to be offered healing, and to have a moment of sharing, that place being violently destroyed, I cannot just sit here heartless and just keep on going with my own performing creative practices just to serve my own well-being. I wanted to read one of the monologues from The Revolution's Promise, a monologue that was written by Ahmed Tobasi, the artistic director of the Freedom Theater. The whole script is available on the website at therevolutionspromise.com. I'll be reading this monologue both in English and in Japanese. Culture is my resistance. Jenin Refugee Camp. 文化こそ我が抵抗。Jenin 難民キャンプにて。I was born in Jenin Refugee Camp. My grandmother was expelled from her village in 1948 and was part of the first generation that fled here. 私はジェニンの難民キャンプで生まれた。私のおばあちゃんは1948年に故郷の村から追放されて、ここに逃げてきた最初の世代のうちの一人だった。It has always been Israeli soldiers, wanted people, attacks, martyrs, tanks, army, shooting. ここはいつもイスラエル軍兵、指名手配者、攻撃、殉職者、戦車、軍、銃撃で溢れている。There is not so much food or electricity, and we live in very simple houses. But as a kid growing up, we had fun. 食べ物や電気は豊かではなくて質素な家で暮らしていたけど、子供の時は楽しく育った。In 2002, during the second Intifada and the Israelis invaded Jenin refugee camp, you could not believe what we lived through. 2002年第2次インティファーダの時、イスラエル軍がジェニン難民キャンプを侵略した。私たちが見た光景を信じないだろう。I was just a 17-year-old boy with AK-47 trying to defend my home against one of the largest armies in the world. It was like a cartoon movie. The sounds, the shooting, the Apaches, the tanks. 私は世界で最も大きい軍の一つに AK-47 の銃を持って自分の家をただ守ろうとした17歳の男の子だった。まるでコミック映画のようだった。爆音、銃撃、数々の軍のヘリコプター、戦車。Seeing my friends die in front of my eyes. Explosions in the sky like fireworks. 目の前で友達が亡くなっていく。花火のように空を埋める爆発。You feel each rocket as it comes to you. ロケットが近くに来るたびに肌に感じる。Who would believe that I am sitting in the same house where a mortar exploded in the room next to me? You shake yourself, and you are alive. 真隣の部屋で追撃砲が爆発した同じ家の中で私が座っているなんて誰が信じるだろうか。自分をゆすって自分が生きていることを確かめるんだ。Each night felt like a year. You were counting each moment. 毎晩が1年かのように感じた。毎秒必死に命をかけている。We could feel the bullets firing from us in all directions. I was shot in the arm, but there was no hospital and no ambulances. 四方八方から銃弾が飛んでくるのを感じた。私は腕を撃たれたけれど、病院も救急車もなかった。So people just bandaged me up, and we continued to move from house to house. as each home was bombed or bulldozed to the ground. Jenin camp was destroyed, and there was nowhere to go. だから人々は私に包帯を巻いてくれて、そのまま続けるしかなかった。家から家へ逃げ続けるけど、次々に爆撃され、地面に押しつぶされていく数々の家。The soldiers arrested me. There were many men from Jenin who were taken, some in the resistance, some not. 兵隊に逮捕された。たくさんのジェニンから来た男の人たちが拘束された。抵抗した人もいたし、しなかった人もいた。I didn't have a proper trial. There was no evidence against me. And even if there was, what would it say? 私は正式な裁判もされなかった。私に対する証拠も何もなかった。たとえ証拠があったとしても、何の意味を持つだろうか。I held a gun and defended my camp against an invading army. A bomb dropped next to me and I didn't get blown into pieces? I was shot and I didn't die? 銃を持って侵略してきた軍に対して自分のキャンプを守ったから。爆弾が的なりに落ちて、それでも粉々に吹き飛ばされなかったから。私は撃たれても死ななかったから。I was sentenced to 4 years in prison in the Negev desert. I was 17 years old. 私はネゲブ砂漠にある刑務所に4年間拘置された。私は17歳だった。After 4 years, I finished in the prison and I arrived back in Jenin refugee camp. 4年経ってジェニンの難民キャンプに戻ってきた。I was 21 years old. No job, no future. Everything in you has changed. People come out of prison losing their minds, and I was close to death, mentally. 私は21歳だった。仕事もない。未来もない。自分の中のすべてが変わる。刑務所を後にした人々は気がおかしくなりそうになる。私も精神的に死ととても近いところにいた。Exactly in this black moment, I discovered the Freedom Theater, which offered something different from all the dark things around me. この暗闇の中にいたときに、私は自由劇場と出会った。それは私を包んでいた闇以外のものに目を向けるきっかけをくれた出会いだった。I had grown up with all of this madness, invasions, tanks, rockets, bullets, murder. Israel, the West, Europe, the USA had made all these things ready for me. A young Palestinian to go one way. 私はこの狂気、侵略、戦車、ロケット、銃弾、殺人に囲まれて育ってきた。イスラエル、西欧諸国、ヨーロッパ、アメリカは、この一人のパレスチナ人の青年をある方向に行くように仕上げた。But when I joined the theater, a small hole opened up in my mind. Like a child playing in the garden who finds a small door that takes you to another world. It was magical. でもこの劇場に参加したとき、私の意識の中に小さな穴が開いたんだ。まるで小さな子供が庭で遊んでいて、別の世界に連れてってくれる小さなドアを見つけた時のように、とても魔法みたいな瞬間だった。The theater showed me that there is a whole world out there I never knew existed. And for the first time in my life, I was given a decision. And the choice I wanted to make had become so clear. この劇場は私が知りもしなかった世界があるということを教えてくれた。そして人生で初めて選択するということを与えてくれた。そして私が選びたかった選択とは何か、すごく明らかになった。I wanted to choose to be alive. And now, I had a mission to tell my story. 私は生きることを選びたかったんだ。そして今、私は自分の話を伝えるという使命がある。